Hello, trading is closed on the 14th of January 2021. We always start with our disclaimer, then go over our calls and make our predictions for the next trading day. It's my plan for tomorrow. We discuss calls based on the MEJT system. They're pretty accurate. We also make other calls not based on the system. They're not as accurate. I hope they're of some help, but there's no guarantee anything I say is going to work. So trade at your own risk. And my address, if you want to contact me, is mejt.trades@gmail.com. We did have a few calls. Look for the pattern with the early high. Here it is. Tomorrow also has the early high. We had a target of 37.9865. Target printed and there was support under the target. Now when we gapped up, the target price remains called by the system, but the date, the preferred time for this printing was today. The date's actually killed. It isn't saying we aren't going to print today. It just says it won't print today a significant percentage of the time. But anyway, the call price worked and it was support under the price. This actually is how the system is used. Yesterday we had a target generator. There wasn't a trade at that time. But today when you saw price was dropping, anyone who wanted to act on it would have a level at which he could anticipate some support being present. I've had a few people who tell me they're having trouble buying this webinar that I'm offering. What you have to do is go to paypal.me/MEJT system. Don't go to .com, go to ME. ME is the domain name for the country of Montenegro. I know that's where most of us like to do our online shopping. You go there, send me $57. I get a notification and I send you the webinar, and then these targets are no longer surprises when they print. Now we do have a new target for tomorrow, 3818.66. And unless we gap down smartly, that's my call. During the day, MEJT said this drop was not the real thing and gives us the target. Now I should point out that this is normally a positive pattern, and when it drops like this instead, normally you'll see additional weakness at some time. It doesn't mean we'll start lower tomorrow, but it does say you should see lower prices tomorrow unless you invalidate by taking out today's high promptly, which seems kind of a very tall order as I'm recording this. Well, so we have a pattern which normally leads to a lower price at some time, not necessarily a lower open, not necessarily a lower close, but a price under today's low. And that conflicts with the higher MEJT target we have. Now MEJT likes to leave a failed target at major changes in trend. So if we start dropping, I wouldn't count on this. But it's possible to interpret this drop as being complete. We have a wall into the close, and often that'll gap up. You can count this as 5 waves down. You can see how wave 5 is 61.8% of wave 3, and so is wave 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 5 is equal to 1. I'm not saying that's the only way to count it, but it doesn't break any rules. Although normally waves 2 and 4 aren't of the same type. Doesn't have to be. So be aware it's possible we could gap up tomorrow. It's even possible we have a gap up, hit this price, and then trade down, but that's not the only way to read this. I just have conflicting indicators. Now, it would be nice if this call for the high we made turned out to be right, but I've been fooled before, and until we see some lows break, it still could have a recovery of this drop. We haven't broken this trend line yet. We need to do that if we're going to drop with authority. And here's a 15-minute chart. You'll see we have a big drop, but couldn't take out any of these lower prints here. So we have a big drop, but the lows held. Doesn't mean they'll hold tomorrow. But for now, at least, without taking out some lows, you haven't accomplished anything. Well, tomorrow's pattern has the early high, but we could get down. Today's normally bullish pattern was negative instead. Unless we gap and overtake the high of the day, we should see lower prices tomorrow. Again, doesn't mean a lower close or that we start to drop from the open. But we should see lower prices. Be aware there's a higher target. Unless we gap down smartly, it should print. It's easy to count 5 waves down. We've got a wall into the close, and the lows of the consolidation have held. So we're going to use our rules for mixed signals for tomorrow's trade. As you know what they are, commonest thing is to gap and promptly move outside the day's range. Sometimes you close, it'll change. Big move happens Tuesday when the market reopens. Once in a while, neither one of those things happen. The market's still threatening a major break here, but support hasn't broken yet. Tomorrow's pattern is the early high. There's a higher target, but this pattern normally leads to lower prices unless this high falls early. And that's today's call.